to another podcast. So, what's up, guys? How's your day going? Let me know in the comments below. How's your day going? How's your week, month been going? Been a while since we've done another podcast. Um, Again, I can only say I'm sorry. Got some other stuff to try and work on, and just been, kind of taking a break. But for today's podcast, I kind of want to talk about limiting God and how. Today. So I woke up this morning. So I kind of did a little journal write before I started it, but it says do you ever feel like God isn't coming through? That what he said hasn't come to pass? Do you feel like you haven't got your blessing yet? Maybe it's because you have a limiter on God. What do I mean by this? Limiter. And because I have even caught myself at times in the past, feel that God, I don't feel like you're coming through. What's going on? I don't feel like this is happening the way you said it was going to happen. What's going on here? And I kind of answer this question as we continue on what this limiter is exactly. And what I mean by a limiter is that we're blocking God from doing his work. So what do I kind of mean by when I say we're blocking God from doing his work? What I kind of mean there is basically what it says is that God is trying to do a work, or he's trying to do that work, he's trying to do that blessing, but we're pushing him back, and we don't realize we're pushing him back. But we are pushing him back and pushing him away. And even our heart, we tape stuff off of our heart. And he cannot do the work that he's trying to do. Because again, we're pushing him back. We're putting a limiter on God. We're saying, oh, well, God isn't going to do this. God isn't going to do that. God ain't going to do this. God hasn't done yet, so it's not going to happen. And when we do that stuff, and when we're saying that stuff, we're putting a limiter on God. And the thing that we got to come to realize is there is no limit when it comes to God. God is the God of everything. God is the God of the whole universe. There is no limiter on God. And actually, me and my pastor and my friend Isaiah, we had an interesting conversation because we were at the church Tuesday and kind of just working on some media stuff. And I'll talk more about that and some news that I have at the end of the podcast, so you guys could know that. But long story short, we're just talking for a few minutes on how, again, people don't realize that God is the God of the past, today, and the future. God is the God of the whole universe, and time-wise, he is multi-dimensional. God is the God of the past, he is the God of now, he is the God of the future. And when you come to realize that, you will also start to realize that, God, there is no limits to what you could do for me. There is no limits on how high my blessing could go. There is no limits on how high you could do what you want to do with me. There is no limits with you, God. But it's coming to that realization point of realizing realizing that there is no limits on God. And how do you realize that? You realize that by reading his word. When you read God's word and you read through all that God has done in the past, you will start to realize that, God, there is no limits to you. See, we put up a roadblock, as I said earlier, and say to God, don't go there. That space is closed off. So what
You'll
parts...
need to unlock your iPhone first.
Sorry guys, that was Siri. So what parts in your life are you closing off from God? What parts of your heart are you being closed off? Because it's not just parts in your life, but even if you're closing off parts of your heart, that also will put a limiter on God. And not that, again, God doesn't have no limits, but we will be then in turn, by doing that, having a limit placed on God, because again, God will go, well, how do you expect me to do this when I need to go into that space of your heart? I need to go into that space of your life, but you're not letting me go to that space. You're not letting me go to that part of your heart. So I cannot do what I need to do now. And that is what tends to happen. And actually, if we look at Matthew in chapter 13, and it's verse 58, but before I read that verse, I kind of want to give some context of what's happening here. So some context of what's happening in this chapter in Matthew is Jesus had just gone through talking about the parables. So he just got through talking about the parables, and now he's going back to his hometown, Nazareth. And he's going back to his hometown and going back to his hometown people. And at the end, before it goes into verse 14, at the end he says, and he did not do many miracles because of their lack of faith. And actually interesting here, before verse 58, in verse 57 towards the end, Jesus also says, but Jesus said to them, a prophet is not without honor except in his own hometown and in his own home. And then it says, and he did not do many miracles there because of their lack of faith. And you see, me and my pastor were actually talking about this last night too, and you see here that what does that kind of mean? A prophet is not without honor except in his own hometown and in his own home. Pretty much, long story short, is Jesus did not have belief or honor in his hometown. No one believed that he was the Messiah. Well, no one in general believed that he was the Messiah, but the people in his hometown, they only saw him as, you're just a carpenter's son. Who are you to tell me this? You're just a carpenter's son. And again, that's where, again, it comes into, that's why Jesus didn't do many miracles there, because they didn't have any belief. They didn't have any faith that he could do any miracles. So he didn't. So how does faith fit into this? How does faith fit into this? Well, you see, it is a lack of faith that makes us put a limit on God. You see, faith has a lot to do with this. And faith has a lot to do with a lot of stuff that's said in the Bible. You see, because it starts with our faith. And that's the thing, is it starts with your faith. If you do not have faith that God is going to do what he said he was going to do, it's not going to happen. He's not going to do it because you have no faith that is going to happen. So he's not going to do it, because when you're not having that faith, again, that's where it kind of comes in place of, you're kind of putting a limiter on God, and he's not going to do what he said he's going to do, because again, you have no faith. And one thing that comes to me is Job, because Job is a perfect example of having faith through the hard times. Because again, if you read Job, and if you have already read Job, you see on how he had everything taken away from him. But what gets me is at the end, what happens? Job got everything that was taken from him. God gave it back to him and blessed him with more because of his faithfulness. And God, if we get anything taken from us, guess what? We will get it back. God will get it back to us. But we need to have faith and know that we will get back what was stolen from us. And not just that. Yeah, Job got his stuff taken from him, but nowhere in Job did it say that his life got taken, that the enemy took his life. Because why? God said, you could take away his stuff, but you cannot mess with his life. You cannot touch his life. Why? Because Job's life had already belonged to God. And that's us. Yes, the enemy can mess with our stuff, but the enemy cannot mess with our life, because our life already belongs to God, or we've already given our life to Jesus Christ. And when you do that, when you give your life over to Jesus Christ, guess what? You're not property to God, to Jesus Christ. You belong to them. You belong to God. So the enemy cannot mess with your life because he has no right to, because your life already belongs to God and your life is protected by God. Long story short, what I could say to kind of wrap up this podcast and end it. Sorry, it's not a long one, but this is kind of the direction God wanted me to go. Is to, again, keep up that faith and don't put limiters on God. Believe that what he said will happen and pass with you, whether it be what calling he has for you, what blessings he has for you, they will happen and they will pass. But you got to believe in it. You got to have that faith that it will happen. And making sure you're reading the word. Because when you're reading your word, that's how you're going to know God. That's how you're going to grow a deeper relationship with God. But I don't want to keep you guys any longer. I know this is posted on Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving, guys. Hope you have a blessed Thanksgiving. Enjoy it. Enjoy the family. Be thankful. Again, that's what Thanksgiving is about. Not about the food. Well, I love the food, but it's about being thankful. Being thankful for God and what he did, and just being thankful for everything that he's blessed you with. I know I am. So, hope you guys enjoyed this podcast, and God bless. Hey guys, so I'm editing the podcast right now. So I just want to give you some exciting news that I kind of briefed about and talked about a little bit. But there is going to be a new podcast coming out next year. So be ready next year, guys. This next coming year, me, Isaiah, and our pastor, the three of us are going to be starting a podcast together. So be ready for that. Be out for that. Again, I'll keep you guys updated. Again, just follow my socials. Follow my Instagram. Instagram is probably the main page where I'm going to keep you guys updated on that. And where I will be keeping you guys updated on that. Also go to our webpage for our church, visionchurchfowler.org. Go there. Every week we will be posting a new video for you guys. So there'll be a Let's Talk section, and in that Let's Talk section, me, my pastor, and Isaiah will be rotating out, putting videos out on there for you guys. So a little video you guys could watch on there. And again, just make sure you follow that webpage. Also, that webpage is going to be starting to be updated every week. So events that go on in the church, or just events in general, will be on there also. But I will keep you guys updated and posted on the new podcast that me, Isaiah, and our pastor will be coming out with. Again, we're going to start at the beginning of the year. Because holidays will be over and it'll be a little bit easier to coordinate and just start it up. And we'll have all the equipment by then. But again, just keep it in prayer that it goes through and it works. And not just that, but just keep out on the alert on it. Keep out alert on that, guys. And again, I thank you for watching this podcast and have a blessed day.